All right, guys, bear with me here. Yeah, I don't like you to see me in my glasses, by the way. I don't like you to see. So if you ever see me in my glasses, it must be something serious must be happening, at least within my mind. Now, I share this with you because I got what the kids call bookmarks. I go through my phone, and this is also my source of news. I used to have a computer when I was younger at one point, and before that, you had to have books, and then before that, you had to go to school and go ask somebody. So you're able to relate with that. Getting news is pretty easy, and I'm right now at bloodyelbow.com. The top headline is that there's possibly a title eliminator within the early prelims in this Saturday's pay-per-view card. The next story probably won't surprise you. It's about Chimaev. He's actually weighing in on Usman as opposed to Diaz. I look forward to seeing what that is. Next one, which makes sense, you got Diaz. He's talking about fighting Conor McGregor for sure in a trilogy at some point. Now, that's probably pretty interesting. Probably ties in with Diaz's own promotion that he started. Maybe thinks he can go and get that match. Who knows? We'll come back and figure it out. You come underneath that, they got something called MMA Squared. Scroll down there, I got a bare knuckle boxing. Underneath that, we're at the Level Change podcast. Now, no offense to the Level Change podcast, but if we're discussing the Level Change podcast, probably means it's time to go over to MMA Mania because we're out of topics. No problem, let's do that. Usman and Aldo made a whole bunch of money the last pay-per-view. Going right in order, guys. Chimaev, Diaz, that would make sense. Pay-per-view coming up. Chimaev underneath that. Below that, Gracie subdues a Subway racist. Could you imagine acting like a fool and you do it in front of one of the Gracies? That's probably not going to be a great day for you. Underneath that, it says Nate Diaz almost got in a fight with Dana White. Let's get over to MMA fighting, which I had to add because when I used to go to my dirt sheets, Helwani was offended I didn't go to his website. Let's go there. I had drugged myself for the past 3 years. Johnny Walker. I actually read that story. Do you guys know this story? I actually have already read this. Johnny Walker was taking a CBD oil that had THC in it that was getting into his system. He's allergic to THC. In fact, he took the CBD oil because he couldn't have anything to do with THC. Turned out it did. It's been messing with his mind for 3 years and he just found out. Read that if you'd like to. But underneath that, you've got Kamaru Usman. Now, for Kamaru Usman to remain a headline is a massive compliment to the way that you guys feel about Usman, but that is old news. Usman fought, that's old news in our industry. It was an entire pay-per-view ago, which means it wasn't a month ago. There's a reason when SportsCenter talked about football today, they didn't bring up Joe Montana or Steve Young, even though those are the two best quarterbacks to ever do it, because it was old news. Below that, you've got a Diaz. That makes sense. Then we've got an advertisement for an embedded. All right. I'm moving on. Let me go to my old friends, BJPen.com. Now, guys, before I lose you and before you get Chael, you got to get to the point here, man. You're really dragging out your lead. I understand that, but let me just actually authentically do that. Again, Kamaru Usman and his salary is the top story. I'm going to go through this real fast. We got a little Diaz. We got Apollo Costa. Believes the verbal altercation with Khamzat was just for show, that he's a fake gangster. That's interesting. Henry Cejudo below that. Uriah Hall underneath that. Guys, why is Ciryl Gane in none of those? I mean, honest to goodness, why is Ciryl not in those? And I don't know that Ciryl has an enemy. Like, he seems like a really nice guy. In fact, there was even a cool, authentic factor. You don't get to call people cool very often. You want to, and you wish people called you cool. But in fairness, it's not a term you get to use all that much. Ciryl Gane had a very authentic moment that looked cool. It was in the ring, post-fight, Junior Dos Santos. Junior was claiming that Ciryl hit him in an illegal spot, threw an elbow and hit him in the back of the head. And Junior goes over to Ciryl and grabs him. And he makes him watch it on the monitor. And he said, "You hit me in the back of the head." And Ciryl apologized. So the announcer, I believe was Joe Rogan that night, but whoever the announcer was, called Ciryl on it. Made him watch it, get his reaction. And Ciryl said, "Yeah, it kind of looked in the back of the head. I think maybe it was." Okay, fine. But there was a cool moment. The fact that he embraced Junior, the fact that he took the time to watch it, the fact that he didn't deny and even apologize because quite possibly he had done it. Not for nothing, it was a cool moment. He seems like a cool guy. He has no detractors, including opponents. Tai Tuivasa had no problem with Ciryl Gane. Francis Ngannou had some beef and it dated back to a gym and blah, 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 but it didn't have to do with Ciryl. It had to do with a manager or a coach, something that's fashion. I'm just sharing with you. I don't know that Ciryl has an enemy except me. I got a problem with him. I don't like him. I don't like him because of the way he's botching his own opportunities, and it frustrates me. Worked very hard in my career to have good skills. I'm not positive when I sit here and tell you guys with a straight face that I ever had the skills of Ciryl Gane. He looks to me like a guy that might be better at the sport than I will. I have an ego. That pains me to say. But you've also seen people like this. You have seen people who had a natural ability for something you really wanted, that you really worked hard for, something you wanted, they didn't work and they just had a natural ability. And they did nothing with it and they didn't pursue it and you kept working and sooner or later they were gone and you passed them up. But the only reason you passed them up is because they left, because their natural ability was still get them there. And when potential and hard work resist each other, it can be frustrating for whatever reason. I'm angry with Ciryl because I want more for Ciryl. Yeah, it's true. And I don't know him. Seems like a good guy to me. Seems like a cool guy to me. I'm upset with him. I think it was nothing short of a double cross what he and Francis did to Dana White. Huge words by me. I thought it was a straight double cross what those guys did. Being put in that position with the biggest fight, with the greatest storyline in the history of the heavyweight division is the first time somebody's going to outdraw Brock Lesnar. And they didn't put any effort into it. They didn't care. They didn't do anything with it. That's frustrating for me. For Ciryl to have lost that fight, the person that he beat in Francis Ngannou goes into the emergency and undergoes surgery on a knee of which Ciryl had placed in a leg lock. And he didn't take any credit for it. He didn't claim it. He doesn't agree with me. He doesn't agree that he did the damage. He doesn't agree that coming out and claiming false valor is wise. Okay, fine. He's going to go and get a fight in his hometown. Now, again, when you talk about things that you dreamed of, did you guys ever get to show off at home? Did you ever get to do that in whatever sport you play? There was a big game and it was at home and all your friends came and somebody else paid a whole bunch of money and put you on TV and got you in radio spots, put your billboard around town. You're driving down the road. There's a billboard that you didn't pay for. Somebody else did all of these things. He's the number one guy in the world. That is a ranking. He just stopped the number 4 guy in the world. That is huge. In our sport, that is such a big deal. And it's so rare. You get 1 and 4 in there together, right? You always think the way it should be 1 versus 2, but it doesn't happen very often. 1 and 2 fight, and you got to shuffle the deck, and you grab somebody in the top 5, and boom, they become the number 1 contender. That is very consistently the way it works. 1 versus 4. Turns out to be an awesome fight. Turns out to be sold out. Turns out to be on the worldwide leader of ESPN. You get a whole bunch of money. What do you do with it? And according to the dirt sheets that I go to 5 times a day, every day, including just now, nothing is your answer. Once again, if we use history as the greatest trajectory to the future, we shouldn't be surprised right now. I should not be frustrated. I shouldn't have the veins. I shouldn't be yelling at you. I shouldn't be doing any of those things. This is what we should have expected. But there was a part of me that thought he did learn. But what are the repercussions? Why would I think that? He does not do his job. He does not hold up his end of the bargain leading into Francis. In his very next fight, he's a main event. What difference does it make then? I mean, what difference does it make? A number of people were upset that Oliveira lost his belt. If Oliveira isn't going to lose his belt and all of the things that come with that, what's the point of weighing him in? You can't break any rules if there are no rules. Nobody's beautiful if everything's beautiful. Nobody's rich as everybody's rich. I mean, you could keep on playing this game, but what difference would it make if Ciryl is a main event? Oh, by the way, win or lose, his next fight, he's a main event. Oh, by the way, win or lose, he goes to his hometown and he's a main event. What difference does it make? Why do I care? What business is it of mine? What standing in this matter do I have? Should I give you another analogy? Or do we have the point? All right. Ciryl Gane is this close to fighting Jon Jones. There's going to be a belt up. If they do an interim championship, there has never been an opportunity clearer that would lead you to believe probability that interim is going to be promoted and be undisputed. I mean, it's a massive opportunity, massive. And it's right now. And if Ciryl is that deep down dirty competitor, and I really do think that he is, like, he can't get as good as he is without wanting it. He must really want it. And if that's right, then he wants Francis back. If that's right, he's losing sleep. To this day, he's up early, he's training, he's got one thing in mind. The same as Kamaru Usman does with Leon. I think that would be true. I have no idea. I have the foggiest idea about him. I would like to. I would do my part. I would sit there and read. I would go to it. I would watch what he does. He says nothing. He does nothing. He's a complete dud. But what's the difference? If you're a dud who stays in main events, what difference does it make? There is an opportunity right now for Ciryl Gane to fight Jon Jones. Oh, by the way, Jon would agree. A year ago, I don't know if that's true. 2 years ago, I know for sure it's not true. Jon was in a different position. Jon wasn't going to agree to anybody. I mean, in all fairness, but things have changed. Jon's spoiling for a fight. Jon's out of money. I mean, in all fair, right, there's a time you got to go to work. We all understand that. Some of us drag about going and doing our job. There's other days, my goodness, somebody start that clock, I'm ready to go. That's big. The fact that Ciryl could get a fight with Jon and that Jon would agree to it, that is big. The fact that they are likely to put a belt up that has a probability higher than most cases to be promoted to a true championship, not to mention if you do go and do the Jones thing and this interim business is real and you get Francis back, you draw right into him. Not very many roads back. When you double-crossed the industry the first time you got the opportunity. Not very many people are going to come out and give you that same opportunity to screw me a second time. You get an interim belt, you're getting that fight. There is massive reasons why somebody who cared would step up, step forth, and make sure that 3 days removed from being the main event on ESPN, that people are still discussing you. The only one discussing you is Chael, and Chael's discussing you because he's upset. I'm still doing you a favor, and you still owe me a thank you.